Good afternoon, all excuse me, all you folks over there on the other side of the country. I hope you're staying warm. And good morning, brunch time, I guess, over here on the Best Coast. It's the Dynasty Stock Market. It's bigz. It's DFK. We got an exciting show that we want to get into really hardcore. We did our first 2025 rookie mock draft of the season. It is officially draft season, and we're gonna go over all of the 3 rounds that we did. We did 4 rounds, and to be perfectly honest, I failed to see that it was a 1.75 PPR or a tight
Tight
end
end,
premium,
yeah.
and so I went with my draft strategy was a little bit different than everybody else's. I feel like everybody else was drafting for who they thought the best player at that spot was. I was drafting for give me 3 guys that I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I love it.
and
I love it.
so my my picks were content driven.
Yeah, at least one of them made the thumbnail. I don't know how the guy from UC Davis made it over Trey Harris. But I'm not going to spoil it.
Lan Larison is my avatar. He is my he's my good luck charm. He's the guy that I'm I'm gonna be like just like pushing this entire draft season until he finds himself on a team. I had a fantastic interview with him last week. Talked to him for about an hour, got deep into his career in the FCS and also his pre-draft prep. He was he was on the watch list for Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl and got hurt in the last game in the FCS playoffs. And so he couldn't go to either one. I was hoping to see him down at the Senior Bowl, but he's not going to be there. But and then the interview was inadvertently deleted.
Sorry to hear that, man.
No, and so I'm reaching out to him, trying to get him back and do it again because he was just, I mean, he's a kid from small town Idaho that went to like an FCS school and turned in like some of the greatest stats that I've ever seen, and I got to watch him do it in my hometown, and it was pretty great. So he's very humble and very laid back. It was pretty cool. But you have some interesting stuff that you wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah, man. So on our Christmas special show that we did, we got into a little side tangent about shoe game. Collecting some sneakers here and there. And yeah,
Yes,
I've been
sir.
a bit of a sneakerhead. And one of my groups, we have a fantasy league where the winner gets a pair of Jordans. There's no second place. It's just if you're first, you're last. You get some shoes or you don't. And I just won back-to-back years, which happens to be my 3rd year winning. So I'm gonna show you my first trophy here. This was from a few years back. This is the Jordan Adapt 11s. So they are the self-lacing shoes, which have now been discontinued, unfortunately. So now I don't get any more service on them. So kind of a waste, sadly. But this is my year 2, the Jordan 1 Pinnacles with the 24 karat gold plating on everywhere. So
I feel like the kids would say those are clean AF.
Yeah, these are nasty, even on the lace tips. So that was last year, and then this year, here we go.
You got it?
Yeah,
Ooh.
The J Balvin's. This is the newer ones that recently came out. Yeah, man, these are pretty sick.
I like those a lot.
Yeah, got the lightning bolt here instead of the eye for air. Yeah.
Now my first pair were 3s, but my favorite pair of all time is the 2.
Yeah,
and
these are the 3s. Yeah,
it was just ironic that I had the 3s first. It took me until later in life to get to the 2s.
Yeah, a sunset always reminds me a new day full of opportunity is coming. So hopefully that'll be y'all's life lesson for the day.
That should be like the theme of every rookie draft.
Yeah, right. All right, that's all I got for y'all. But
no, that's great. And Jamie's in the comments. He's freezing his nuts off. Sorry about your nuts.
How do I know they aren't knockoffs? Hey, they went through rigorous verification and testing through
It's
either StockX or eBay. So
hard to counterfeit that box too.
yeah, it even has like a cover box on there I didn't show. But anyway, hey, no,
That's why I buy all mine. I don't do the collector stuff. I just buy mine straight from Nike.
yeah. But all right, let's get to it.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some rising and falling players right now. Do you want to get it? Let's get into the fallers first. So we're going to go with the top 5 fallers. This is in order of falling slowest to fastest. But the number 5 faller at the moment is Anthony Richardson. He's seen his value drop pretty significantly. And where do you rank Anthony Richardson? This guy has been, if you want to call it a roller coaster, that's I mean, he came into the league and I at least was pretty skeptical. I was like, I like his profile, but I don't know about his opportunity. Then it looked like the Colts were going with him as the starter. They named him the starter, and it was like, okay, well, this guy, at least his floor is going to be, top 12 quarterback because of his rushing upside and everything. Plus, like, he's got such a huge arm. And then he kept getting hurt, and then he came back. So it was like we watched his value go up and down and up and down and up and down. And then ironically, he played more towards the latter half of the season, and his value's still on the decline, especially with Joe Flacco taking over with Anthony Richardson not hurt later in the season. So where are you placing Richardson in your preseason QB rankings in Dynasty startups?
Yeah, so I would have Richardson still as a top 15 quarterback. I don't see this class of rookies coming in and giving me guaranteed production over what the upside is. I know, all right, they're going to give me some production of Ward to Sanders, but I just feel like there's a little bit more upside with AR if he bounces back. We've seen it with Justin Fields where he can still have pockets of value that is better than other guys, and he even still did it. When he got some opportunities. So right around that range, there's some quarterbacks I expect to start to fade out as well. Like Matthew Stafford. It seems like Cooper Kupp may not be there. Like that's a guy who's falling out of that range. Like, any immobile quarterback, it's kind of tough. Like I have him behind all of the rookies though, from this 2024 class. I'm mainly just hope that he gets one more shot to do something. I don't necessarily see another team being able to fix him where, like, Justin Fields is still getting opportunities, and he kind of started at the very worst case scenario. Richardson started in a good spot. So
right.
I'm more so just like, while he's with the Colts, I'm still down to have him on the roster and maybe be able to start him. But in his last 5 games, couldn't even get beyond 20 completions. It's pretty tough for AR. A lot of bad games in there for him.
Well, let's not forget that there's another high profile quarterback that kind of took a similar. It took him a while to get going, and that's Jalen Hurts. It took him 15 games into his professional career before he started cooking. And Anthony Richardson is right at 15 total starts. So he's got 2 years. He'll be going into his year 3 season with 2 full seasons of camps, 2 full seasons of being incorporated into an NFL offense, watching what NFL defenses can do. And now he's at 15 games started, which is where Jalen Hurts was when he began his second year. So I'm buying the dip on Richardson, although in startups, I do like to enter startups, especially in Superflex, with the idea that I want all 3 of my quarterbacks to be in the top 15. So I will be drafting Anthony Richardson as my 3rd quarterback if he's available. And hopefully that can materialize, because I do want two more solid starters ahead of him.
Yeah, he's a QB3, and like value wise, I'm seeing on a Keep Trade Cut, right? Like they've got him as QB23, but like Brock Purdy is at 15, Penix at 16. I'm fine with having him at like 17 or 18. I just think, regardless what the value is now, the production may be higher than that when it comes to that time next year.
Yeah, and that's value in Dynasty. That's what you
Yeah.
want. You want your guys to outperform their ADP, and if that happens, it's a win. If it doesn't, it's a loss. All right, the next two guys are both quarterbacks. Instead of like, I'm sorry, I woke up with a thing. Instead of going through and going through these individually, I'll just give you the next two, and then you rank them with Anthony Richardson. So the next one, fourth highest faller is Jordan Love, and the third is Kyler Murray. So where do you rank those three?
I'll take Kyler, Love, then AR. Historically, Kyler is just one of the top players in fantasy and production. Yeah, he had a rookie wide receiver as his lead guy. Well, really, it was the tight end. So maybe another year, guys get to gel a little bit more, and he can take a step forward. I feel like with Jordan Love, the Packers are like we see what they are. They're a run team, and I love that for them. But the receivers are just not consistent. It hasn't happened. Like we think they have like the best receiving core, but really they just don't have a consistent receiving core. So it's I don't want to bank on that. And also Love always has those like first halves where he's awful, and then the second half he's great, but he doesn't string together full games all the time. So it's like, sure, he has some high scoring games, but I don't know. I think Murray can get back to that high upside a lot more consistently.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the health of Trey McBride, because he seems to be the only guy that Murray can consistently get the ball to.
Get him more touchdowns next season.
All right, number two faller is Tank Dell. Just real quickly on him, because he suffered a catastrophic injury. They don't have a timeline on when he's going to be back, if he's going to be back at all in 2025. Are you buying him and stashing him, or are you just kind of like ambivalent?
No, I was actually trading him at the end of the season. And we were just talking about Packers, but I traded him to get Josh Jacobs and, like a second and Tank Dell to get Josh Jacobs right before the injury. Just get in, and I won in that league. But that's not the point. Point is, Tank Dell, with the receivers, it's just there's so many other receivers I feel like I can go to if I really need. Olamide Zacchaeus was balling out at the end of the season. Like
every year.
Nick Westbrook every year. Lazarus had a year where he was decent as a fill-in. There's been guys. I don't need it to be Tank Dell, and even we saw kind of the best case scenario from Dell, and I don't think he's getting back to that after multiple injuries, two like actual football injuries, one gunshot, and they're going to bring someone else in there as a receiver. So I just never see him as a top target anyway.
Yep, he missed his window. All right, and finally, the biggest faller, George W. Pickens. I don't know what his middle name is. George Pickens has been the biggest faller of late in Dynasty. Buying the dip.
Yes, I like the talent. You actually asked me a similar question on one of the last shows we did, and I feel like I might have been late to realizing how much of like the off the field or maybe on the field attitude, whatever you want to call it, has impacted some things. But at the same time, his whole career he's dealt with bad quarterback play. Even though I predicted it would be good with or better with Russell Wilson, that was easy to see.
Yep.
But Russell Wilson's not expected to be there. I don't want Justin Fields to be his quarterback.
What about Sam Darnold?
Then we're cooking. I think I said I'm buying. I'm pretty sure I started by saying I'm buying. So I'm in on Pickens. It's just I didn't realize how much everyone else was out on him.
George Pickens is the great nephew of Bo Jackson, so his middle name is probably Winner.
Ooh.
Great insight there, Jamie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, Jamie had a couple questions regarding the quarterbacks, which I skipped over. Richardson or Penix?
I said I'd take all the rookies ahead of Richardson.
Okay, so Penix over Richardson and Bryce Young over A-Rich.
I think I'll. Man, I think I want to go A-Rich, but I think I'll just take the L and I'll go Bryce Young here.
All right, fair. All right, now let's get to the
play. Yeah,
the rising players. This first one is interesting. It's quarterback Joe Milton.
Nice.
We don't need to get much into that.
I mean, one of my leagues where the waivers opened, Fantasy Points League, I didn't realize the waivers had opened that fast, and they just scooped up Milton for pretty cheap, man. I like that move. And I had Drake May in that league.
I was looking very closely at Hendon Hooker because all the Ben Johnson to the Raiders and bringing Hendon Hooker rumors. I was like, here we go, and then no.
Yeah. What's up, Marvin? What's up, Jamie?
All right. Number 4, we got Brian Thomas Jr. Obviously. Where do you slot him? We're right now we're in a startup Superflex mock. Are you looking to take him as your wide receiver 1? Maybe top 5?
I don't know about top 5. I like Brian Thomas Jr. It's just Chase Jefferson. I mean, he could be better than Neighbors, but I still kind of factor in value in public. CD Lambs maybe. I'll say no. I'll say he's above Ayomanor though. But it's kind of between him and Puka. I just think there's more upside with Brian Thomas Jr. I think I got him at like 6, something like that. Yeah.
And then Marvin Mims, number 3. Are we counting on? It's his 3rd year breakout season coming up, right?
I'm not counting on the team to not do anything else at receiver, but realistically, that's a weapon a real NFL team always wants. He's going to have a role. So Mims is locked into a role. He's going to be in the NFL for a long time. I would lock that in. So I'm fine having him. It needs to be a deep league where I'm starting him or somehow, able to start Mims in my lineup. Otherwise, why is he on your team? You kind of have to just sell high after 2 games in a row of 2 touchdowns and being a big featured offense. I would be selling in the offseason.
So depending on the league structure, maybe if there's like three flex spots.
Yeah, I'm in a player profile league with 5 wide receivers. You got to start. He's in my lineup every week in that league.
Okay,
type of thing.
Yeah, my 32 team.
Yeah,
I have him.
Yeah, I'll take the variance there, but when you need to have the points, like it's hard. Like even in people's championship games, they weren't starting Mims for the most part.
Yeah, it's it's so sad because we've seen little snippets of his upside. We know he can be a deep threat. We know he can handle some targets. But the way that they've utilized him is behind the line of scrimmage, and it's the most frustrating thing because the first couple games that he played in his professional career, he was getting 80-yard bombs. Like, come on, figure it out. All right, number 2 is quarterback Bryce Young, and so let's go back and we'll do Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, and Bryce Young. Bryce Young, he's rising. Is he rising above those other 3?
No, or not above Kyler and Love. I think it's kind of an upside play with AR, but I'm fine with having Bryce Young at this point. So the fact that I feel like I know the coach has already said he's committed to him for next year and he's looking better and they have to add weapons. I know they have to. So I'm good with Young over AR, but that's about it.
The only reason that I would value Murray over Young is because Murray runs more, but I do like Bryce Young's quarterback profile better, even though they're very similar in stature. All right, and then our number 1 top riser is Jalen McMillan. All right,
shout out to bigz. He was all over it.
I mean, anybody that did the homework could have seen it coming. So, all right, we got Mike Evans. He's going to attempt to break that 1,000-yard record, but Baker Mayfield showed that he can totally support both of those guys doing big things. Chris Godwin is likely not going to be back with the Buccaneers unless he's like, I just want to run it back with this squad and I will take, a tiny little contract to do it. So how far has Jalen McMillan risen in our wide receiver rankings? Is he in the top 24?
Top 24. I mean, there's some guys we can't forget about who got injured, so it's just kind of deep. But I think I have him over like Olave. That seems like a hot take potentially.
I just burned my face on that.
Yeah, I mean he's Olave. What he's got to be in that range. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay,
so and he still has the age on his side and a lot of upside because Evans will be out of the door there at some point.
So we're talking back teens.
Yeah. What I'm looking at, I'm seeing like a lot of older guys ahead of him. So yeah, it kind of could flip.
So you're drafting him as a wide receiver 2, not a wide receiver 3.
Well, draft wise, he's going later. I'm seeing. So I'll be drafting him as a 3, and I think he's got upside for 2.
Okay, there you go. All right, we got some questions from Marvin. We'll get to those in a second because they mostly involve rookie stuff, and we're gonna do rookie stuff. Let's go.
I see all this mock draft information out there. Oh, this mock, that mock. Hey, what about a real actual fantasy game? The Flex 4 game on Fast Draft, draftfaster.com, is open. You draft 6 running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. The top 4 enter your lineup every week. It's that easy. It's that simple. Drafts take 5 minutes. There's a $50,000 prize pool. It's $15,000 to first. It's just a $5 entry. And the best part, no rake. No rake whatsoever on Fast Draft, the first 2025 Best Ball contest to open in the world, is ready for you to draft up to 150 teams. Draftfaster.com, draftfaster.com. Start playing Best Ball for real.
Big Boned, you won $10 on Fast Draft. Boom goes the dynamite. Congratulations. Every week, stacking money.
There we go.
Didn't have a great week. So my strategy going into the week or going into the playoff long game was I'm going for guys that are going to be in the Super Bowl. And so all of my players were Lions and Ravens.
Yeah, that's rough. Would have been nice if I had somehow picked Brian Robinson or just like, I don't know, like maybe even Terry McLaurin if he has a big game coming up. But it's just Commanders. Yeah. Shout out to the Commanders. That's a huge upset. Bills, that's not as crazy, but I think I only got Khalil Shakir in one of my lineups. And I have James Cook, I'm thinking 2 maybe.
I didn't see the Ravens crap in the bed that bad, but all right. Now Marvin wants to know: do you all think Tennessee trades back? I thought the pick to the Raiders pick up first. Tennessee hopes to get Arch next year. Think Tennessee wants to trade.
All right, you got this.
I don't think so. I think they go Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And I think they make Chev very, very happy.
Yeah, they should. His next question is also Will Levis a buy low, and that's a no.
No. So I broke down Will Levis before the season started, and looking and judging from his 2024 performance, it's exactly the same. His upside, his absolute ceiling is QB 20. So he's a waiver guy. Spot start if you're in an emergency, if he's even playing. But as far as his dynasty prospects are concerned, I don't think there's any reason to waste a roster spot on him, because there are at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks that you should have on your roster before you even think about getting Will Levis.
Yeah, and the crazy thing with these leagues is there are guys that emerge that are like a Joe Flacco or insert that player, right? Jameis Winston, who will emerge, and you would just rather have those guys than Will Levis, to be honest, because Will Levis, let me just say it this way: when you're drafting a team, you want players who are going to be starting at the end of the season also, and Will Levis keeps getting benched. So, and that goes for a lot of other players, whether you think they're old and going to be injured at the end of the year, or if you think they're going to get benched, you got to factor that in. And I just can't buy into Will Levis. There's no job security for him at all right now.
What about the idea that with his draft capital, there's a possible 5th-year breakout incoming, like with Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, that kind of thing?
Those guys are first rounders. Levis is a second rounder.
Sure, but I mean, he's still a second rounder. Not a 4th rounder or 5th rounder,
Yeah, and it's high. I know the odds are okay at that range. No, I'm not ready to buy into it. Like he can sling it. He can sling it. Like Winston was better than this guy because he was still just able to score more than Levis. Levis has the interception problem also, but it's just they're losing on, more 3 and outs, more like just less explosive plays overall. It's just hasn't. Yeah, you don't get a 5th-year option on a second year. I don't know. I'm out. I do know I'm out.
Jamie. Job secured at the mayonnaise factory.
Yeah. Oh, he's banned from the mayonnaise factory.
Yeah, he would have to be tagged. I don't think the Titans have any plans on keeping him after the 4 years. I think he'll be an unrestricted free agent. All right, let's get into this rookie draft. You guys want to talk rookies, everybody? Get your rookies into the chat. If you got a sleeper that you want to talk about, go ahead and let us know who they are. Let's go over the first round. So this was a draft we did. DFK was in there. Greinberg was in there. I was in there. We had Joe Kubatakis, who's a friend over from the Undroppables. Has got a great Dynasty show over there with Jax Falcone and Tyler. Travis T. Seal. We had Marcus Gailey, who's our staff physio on our injury show over on Fantasy Football Advice Network. Dr. Marcus. We got Fizzle Dallas. He's a frequent commenter here.
From South Harmon Fantasy. Yep.
All 22 FF. That's he's from the news desk. Dynasty Daddy FF, FF Dynasty. Our boy Dev, Chev, and Coach Retzloff, who you all should know from Player Profiler. And let's get this off. All right. Nice. First round, we had DFK off the board with Ashton Jeanty, and then Greinberg with Tetairoa McMillan. And we talked about this on the show. Was it last week?
Yeah, last week. And you called me out because I was saying, look, with the scarcity of wide receiver, you may want to consider going Tet McMillan. I said specifically trade from 101 to 102, see what you can get there. Someone actually had a pretty substantial offer. I think it was all 22 was getting offered like a 108 or something to move back a spot and maybe a second on top. But anyway, I had the first pick. I went Jeanty. You got to go with the value. I'm looking for a guy who could be an absolute difference maker for my roster. I've seen a Drake London come in the league and be decent, but he needs the right situation. And maybe Tet needs that, maybe he doesn't. But right. Jeanty, I'm good just getting a running back that I can either flip because I know the value's there if my team's just really not right for that running back, or just see where he can take me. Maybe he takes me into a contender, if you got that one-on-one that you earned.
You feel like Ashton Jeanty is more spot independent than Tet?
I think running backs are more spot independent than Tet if they're going to be starting. And Jeanty's the running back I know is starting day one.
Okay.
And I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going to go with. I'm making
in
that
Dallas.
Yeah, he's specifically going to go to Dallas, and he's getting 20 carries week 1.
All right. And then I had the number 3, and I told you that I was making my picks based on content. So I wanted to talk about this dude. And I basically took Travis Hunter because I feel like if he gets drafted and it's expressed that he's going to be primarily a wide receiver, he becomes the wide receiver 2 in this class. So you put wide receiver cornerback there. I drafted him as if he's not going to play any cornerback.
Okay.
And that's something to be seen. So the other thing is in my home league is IDPs.
Oh yeah, and then there you're cooking.
So I'm good either way. All right, and then Dynasty Joe had Omarion as the RB2 of the class and the 104 pick overall. I don't disagree with this at all. And there are situations, especially landing spot dependent, where I might be drafting Hampton over Jeanty.
Yeah, the draft can totally change this for sure. Just let Hampton be in the second round where the Cowboys pick, and he goes there and see how the fantasy community reacts. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So I feel like no matter who or when the Cowboys draft their first running back in the draft, that's gonna change the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally get that pick. And then Burden at the
Marcus
105.
taking Burden. Where do you have him ranked among your wide receivers in this rookie class?
Yeah, so for me, I have Ibuka ahead of Burden.
Me too.
I'm gonna just still let the final landing spot kind of weigh a little bit, but I just feel good about Emeka Ibuka. Been watching him for a while, and I don't factor in the national championship game, but congrats to those guys for staying in college. It hurts your profile in theory to stay in college, right? To be a senior, but he gets it done. And this is totally era of football anyway, so F that. But anyway, I got Emeka over Burden. I didn't film on both those guys. I thought both look good. Burden can be explosive, but just the team was so bad with the quarterback play. I think he's started the year on his second quarterback, basically.
Right.
So it was just it's maybe some of that's why I don't like it as much, but they're trying to force feed the guy. He got some nice catches on tape, but I feel comfortable that Ibuka could easily give me exactly what Chris Olave is giving me.
Okay, and this morning, Player Profiler Now tweeted who the best comps are for Luther Burden, and in the comments we have Wandale Robinson. I think Johnny Tuma was trolling with that one. Calvin Ridley, that was from All 22 FF, who
okay.
didn't get to pick him. Chris Godwin as a slot with room to grow into AJ Brown role.
Yeah.
And then Curtis Samuel.
And I want to hear the Emeka Ibuka comps too.
And then I said, good Kadarius Toney. So if Kadarius Toney is good, that's Luther Burden.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a mixed bag. The show I did, it was two other guys on the show with me, and we all watched separately. We kind of had similar vibes, but that was kind of lens for NFL and how they're gonna do there. For fantasy, I still like the PPR aspect of Emeka more. That's why I like Emeka a little bit more.
Sure, I think that that one of the comps that we might be hearing over the course of draft season is going to be Luther Burden, Xavier Legette floor, Deebo Samuel ceiling.
There you go. Oh, and hey, also too chimed in. I was trying to say what the offer was for 101. He said he got the 102, 108, and Antonio Gibson. So pretend Gibson's like a random third or whatever, but because nobody likes Gibson. But
ceiling Ridley. Now, is that ceiling pre-gambling bust Ridley or or ceiling Ridley now? Also, Hunter seems high with the possibility of playing more cornerback. If he is definitely a wide receiver, then I might want him over Tet. I don't know about that, but I'm willing to listen, Jamie.
No, Travis Hunter's got a lot of good speed too, so it's and hands. Like he is a good receiver.
What about Randall Cobb or Percy Harvin for Burden? I like those too. I think I feel like Percy Harvin was slider built, but I can't be.
Yeah, Harvey was. Yeah, he was thick. Yeah, and fast as hell. Could never stay healthy.
Yeah, that was. But oh man, it was so good when I had him in my lineup. He did go off.
And he says the Atlanta Ridley. Yeah, that's what
Marvin,
Will Levis does to you.
Are we trying to trade Kyron 102, 103 to replace the running back? Man, we're talking about rookies now. I'm kidding. I've always been trying to trade Kyron.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, this class overall, we can look at it right here. You're already picking a defensive player at the 103, so I'm just like, but that's why people are asking. Where is the tier break? Like, let me ask you, how do you feel so far? Have we hit a tier break yet?
I feel like we have not. So with the running backs, I feel like there are three tiers to start with, and that's Jeanty is tier 1, Hampton is tier 2, and then we have the other guys behind him. Henderson I would rank 3rd, and then Kaleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins. I think they're all in the same similar tier, where it's likely that Jeanty is going to be the best of the class. It's likely that Omarion and Hampton is going to be right there with them. And it's likely that those two are going to have starting jobs on day one. The other guys might fall into a situation that we saw with a whole lot of 2024 running backs where they're not necessarily the top guy out of the gate. So I think that's where your tier breaks are. As far as the wide receiver position, I think there's a lot of movement within the tiers. And I think Tet, Travis, Luther, Emeka, not in that order. And then Trey Miller, throw him in there, or Trey Harris, throw him in there. And I think that's your first tier.
All right. Yeah. Because he's talking about trying to, trade Kyron to get in there. Yeah. I mean, there's some vets that you might prefer though still, but we can keep it moving. I would just say that it's realistic that in the top 5, I'm interested in trying to go out and get some bets if I can. Like, I don't know where you would have like a Barkley in here, but he's easily a top 5 rookie pick.
Well, that's a different kind of draft. We're just talking about rookies right now. And Marvin, I hope you heard me. I said, A, I did it for content. I did it for the meme. And B, I did it thinking that's if he's going to be a wide receiver only. Right. Also, and Baldwin or Edelman for Egbuka. I want to ask is that a comp? Because I don't think Baldwin's in the league if you're trying to trade.
No, you're hilarious.
No, I don't know. It's hard to give that comp to Egbuka because I think he does more on the outside than those two guys.
Comps, boom.
I knew that. All right, so we had our first QB off the board with Shedeur Sanders. Interesting that Fizzle Dollars went to Shedeur and not Cam Ward. So what's really, really driving me crazy this offseason is, and I say offseason because I'm a Raiders fan. If I was an Eagles fan, I wouldn't be saying offseason. But people keep mocking Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders, and I hate it so much. Is this the idea that Shedeur goes to Vegas and starts? Is that why he's at 106, or what's the deal with this?
Because we're not going to know. Like, as much as everyone wants to say now it's flipped to Cam Ward after maybe like 6 months ago, Shedeur is the number 1 guy. Like, who knows what happens? So that maybe that's the guy. To be honest, this was happening like when he's a Cowboys guy, and there was some buzz about like Deion Sanders. Like maybe it's the whole Sanders vibes are in his mind right now. But
please just take him away from my Raider. All right. And then we got Cam Ward at the 107. That's a good pick. I like it.
Oh yeah. I mean, and at 107, getting a quarterback. I mean, it technically did happen last year, but it's totally different when it's your potential QB1 off the board at 107. So, yeah. You really can't go wrong with those picks. I think either one of those 2 picks, you're feeling pretty safe that your first round pick, you got a little bit of a window to make some moves.
And Jamie, I was taking him at 104. So that's 106, 107, 108. It's a little late for Jane Daniels.
All 22 hates Cam Ward, apparently. He said he would have traded back if he could.
Aw. Cam Ward shade. All right. Kaleb Johnson, RB3 off the board and taken at the 108. I feel like that's an overdraft. I like him a lot, but there are still a couple of running backs that I would draft over him.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early, so either way, right now it's kind of pick your poison. I'm fine in, regardless taking a running back, but this next pick, like just with the format 1.75 TD premium, it's still hard to pass on.
Absolutely.
Tyler Warren.
Marvin, no. All right. Tyler Warren at the 109. Love the pick. He is my badge of honor in this preseason. I traded James Conner for Warren and Ibuka.
Nice. James Conner and Warren for Ibuka. Yeah, perfect.
And I love Warren's upside. Although there are some people who are saying that he's not even the tight end one in this class, but that remains to be seen. And then Ibuka goes 110. I love this value. I personally would be drafting him in the top half. I certainly would take him at 106 over Shedeur Sanders, and I would be taking him at 105 over Luther Burden.
Yeah. I'm fine with anyone who wants to take a quarterback over him, but I would take him over Burden and over the running back.
And I understand the market aspects of drafting a quarterback, and I understand the value that quarterbacks hold over the course. Justin Fields is still outvalued, overvalued. So I get all that, but it's so hard for me to not draft for production, especially in that first round. Like in the first round, I want a game changer. I want a guy who's I'm going to be able to slot into my lineup, not have to worry about what the market does over the next 3 years. So for that, I tend to stay away. I want to say the only quarterback in my home league that I've drafted in the first round is Jaden Daniels. Later on, I've gotten guys, but in that first round, it's always running back, wide receiver, and very, very rarely is it quarterback.
Facts.
And then Quinshon Judkins, he's the first Ohio State wide receiver or running back off the board. Though? He's not. Travion was my RB1 Travion was my RB2 last year behind Braylon Allen, and so he was passed by Jeanty.
Everyone was sad he went back to school last year. I remember.
It was kind of a nobody could quite wrap their mind around it until last night, and then everybody went, "Oh, okay, that's why." It was the classic, classic Shaquille O'Neal move, staying in school longer than he should have just because he wanted to run it back and win a championship.
Yeah. Respect. I've got Henderson ahead of Judkins. I just like the speed, the burst. So I'm hoping that can translate in NFL and, have some big touchdown upside, big play upside.
Jane Daniels is my boss's son. Hey. All right. So Quinshon and Travion. I mean, what are you doing with that? Who are you going for?
Well, hold on. We're living in a world where these guys both may become starters. So the reason I like Henderson is I think there's more big play upside, but Judkins could be in a spot where, we've seen him have some big plays, but even last night, you see he couldn't finish a full breakaway run from everyone. It's not going to be any easier in the NFL, where Henderson may have that Raheem Morris type speed. Maybe not that speed, but maybe does something like that. I don't know. Judkins, I like them both, so I'm good with both guys. Give me both of them. I don't care. But I want Henderson first. I'm just saying, I think they both can be starters. I'm not living in a world where I think, actually Judkins is just going to be a backup somewhere. I think they're both going to be starting. What's up, Fizzle? Yeah, man.
She's a mean woman. Marvin, are you in SoCal? All right. And Fizzle Dollars is in the building. West Poppin'. We're just talking about rookies. I was personally laughing at your Shedeur Sanders draft.
Yeah, they want you to explain Shedeur over Cam Ward, but we should go on to the next round.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Boom. All right. So I started this round off Colston Loveland, tight end, 1.75 tight end premium. I think premiums are kind of becoming a little bit more normal in a lot of the leagues that are startups and stuff like that. 1.5 is okay. 1.75 kind of been like a sweet spot. So that's why we went with that here. But this is a guy who was regarded as potentially a tight end one in the class. He definitely produce. I think a bit of a down year this past season, but I think he's still like the main focal point in the offense. So I'm totally fine with getting potentially the tight end one in the class. I just like Tyler Warren's like how versatile they were using him.
Yeah.
That just a little more upside. Not like he's going to be Taysom Hill or something like that, but I just like when you were looking at Brock Bowers, you like the fact that they were trying to just force feed this guy the ball any way that they could. So that's why Warren's at where he's at. But Loveland, I think he's still a great tight end in his own right. Got some good athleticism as well.
Loveland reminds me more of the tight end that an NFL team is going to draft to play more inline and also be out there receiving, whereas Warren feels more like a big slot guy where they're more offensive minded with him and less like he's got to take 3 years to learn how to block. But I think Loveland comes in and doesn't need that 3 years to learn how to block. He's going to block right away. And still be big in the passing game.
Nice. Yeah. So that's my move. And hey, Fizz, he explains himself. He's like, hey, it's gonna be explained week 8. When people look back at the rookie trials and wonder why the hell they were thinking. Yeah, if you bust, if your pick busts, like and you're wishing you had a quarterback, then yeah, you will wish you took Sanders. I think it's just between Cam, Ward, and Sanders, though, not all the other players. So if Ward's good as well, then
I don't know. There's a guy we're going to talk about in a little bit. Watch for some steam over the next 2 months. All right, then Greinberg took Ollie Gordon as in the second round, 202, RB5, RB6 off the board. And I have him ranked higher than that.
Yeah, and before this season, he was ranked even higher than that, I believe, for most folks. So
smash that like button.
Yeah. Hey, smash that like button. And, yeah, he had a down season, but we know it's in him. And we've seen Chuba Hubbard ball out of the school. So, yeah.
And especially his physical profile. And we've talked a lot over the last few years about what the physical profile of the prototypical running back is entering the NFL, and you want to hit that 225-pound mark, and that elevates a running back in my mind over some of the production, over some of the upside. Even so, we're talking like Braylon Allen's physical profile. That dude is going to be around for a long time, and there is a very, very low hit rate among sub 225 running backs in the top 12 in fantasy football. Now, we are in a new era. There's a lot more usage for smaller guys. NFL teams are starting to move away from that standard profile and look more into the Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook. Those guys can produce at a high level. They just have to stay on the field. But typically, you want to hit that 225-pound range. And with the production that we saw in 2023 from Ollie Gordon at that size, I feel like he has what older teams. So we're talking about if one of the more traditional regimes, a Mike McCarthy type, like, some of the older heads in the NFL are looking at a running back and they snag Ollie Gordon, it's going to be a good thing for him. So I really like that pick.
Yeah, I love this running back class. Right.
Jamie lightly tapped.
Come on,
the like button. Break your finger on it next time.
So you go with another TH player, Hunter to
Trey Harris.
The thumbnail or the back here.
I like those TH names. I don't know. Love Trey Harris coming out of Ole Miss, and he wasn't on my radar. And then Chev sent me a text message, and he was like, "What do you think about Trey Harris?" And I was like, "I don't know anything about Trey Harris." And then I talked to you, and you were like, "Love Trey Harris," and I was like, "Okay." And then I realized he's the guy that when I watch somebody else, I keep seeing. And so I was like, all right, I looked into it a lot more. I did my homework and went, I'm going to need to grab him here, because if I don't, I'm not getting him later on. And then we got Isaiah Bond, Dynasty Joe. Shout out Joe Kuvatakis. Took Bond. I like this tier right here. We had three wide receivers go boom, boom, boom. They all had second round value. They all have that upside. You personally, how would you rank these three guys?
I'm taking Trey Harris 1. He had the highest PFF grade, and I already really like him. I'm already flag planning Trey Harris as one of my guys for this next rookie class. And maybe quantify that as I'll put him at receiver 4, just behind Emeka and Burden. But anyway, and then I'm going Bond just for the speed. Still think he's got some route running ability. He was listening to Cody Carpentier. He works with Player Profiler, but also at UT Orange Blood's website. And he's locked in on those guys. And I mean, I watch them all the time. And I think I'm still deciding between him and Golden for what it's worth, but I like the traits that Isaiah Bond has.
And what do you think about him comped as another Xavier Worthy?
The speed's close. It's not going to be that close, just because he broke the record. But Worthy definitely did have. I felt like, I'm trying not to say polished, but I feel like he could run routes and was more than just a speed guy. This is all documented before the draft or before anything. Like, that's how I felt about the guy. And Bond, with the transfer, I just feel like he didn't play enough this past season. I don't know, if it was the injuries or what. The wide receiver room for Texas was kind of shaky, so I didn't like that he couldn't be the number 1 for us. So that's why I'm a little nervous. He just couldn't deliver for us. But overall, I'm taking him over Elic Ayomanor, who I just don't like the stats as much or profile.
Let's talk about Elic Ayomanor for a second, because number 1, he has the weirdest name in the entire draft. It does not roll off the tongue. I've never heard the name Elic before, and Ayomanor is just like that O syllable in the middle, just like it totally screws up my mouth. Elic Ayomanor from Stanford. Now, Stanford does not get a lot of eyes on them. College football is definitely East Coast bias, and I don't mean that in I'm not whining about it. I'm saying because a lot of games happen late, a lot of people on the mid to east side of the United States don't really pay attention to football that happens on the West Coast. On top of that, Stanford has been absolutely garbage over the last 4 years, and I'm a Cal Bears fan, and this is we won the big game. That's the big rivalry between Cal and Stanford. Won it 4 years in a row. So the graduating senior class at University of California, Berkeley, is leaving school without ever having seen Stanford beat Cal. Stanford is in a bad place. They don't have good quarterback play. They haven't had good quarterback play probably since Andrew Luck. And Elic Ayomanor has absolutely outplayed his quarterback situation, the offensive situation at Stanford, their potentiality. He's a dog, and he was the best thing going on that team for the last few years. So I don't know if that necessarily bumps him up in my ranks above those other guys, but I really, really like Elic Ayomanor.
All right. I'll keep that in my pocket.
Yeah. We had Jalen Miller. Fizzle Dollars, what are you doing? Okay, so my interpretation of Fizzle Dollars draft right now is that he was on a championship team. He won this league that we were in. This isn't a real league, but he was the winner, and he's just cashing in on his old quarterbacks that won him the championship and the draft picks that he got in trading up to win that championship. So he grabs Milroe and Shador. And then Jalen Royals, all 22 FF. I absolutely love that pick. He is one of my favorites. I talked about him last week on another Dynasty show. And then as soon as we got that show recorded, I went to Twitter and saw like 4 or 5 different people tweeting about Jalen Royals. And I was like, but I was there first. And so he's going to be getting a ton of steam. He might even go in the top of the second round. I might even consider taking him in the back of the first, depending on in my own personal drafts, not necessarily ranking him for for content or whatever, but like in my own personal rookie drafts in my home league, I might be looking to grab him in the top of the back end of the first round. And then we got Jackson Dart, whose name is incorrectly spelled. That's fine. It's what
Yeah,
is
I mean,
this?
I just
Is this a grammar show, or are we talking football here?
It's like whoever wrote the name in the group thing, that's how you spell it. Yes, I'm supposed to edit it, but at the end of the day, it's a lot to put all this in here, so I'm copy and pasting.
Yeah. All right. So,
right.
Talking about Jackson Dart, there are a lot of people who are looking at him. I know one person in particular who is data driven, who is saying that in his model, Jackson Dart is the best quarterback in the class.
Boom. And really, I wanted to say, like, with the QBs in this round, like, it's hard to hate on the pick. Like, we can be wrong, and one of these guys ends up being a starter, and that's going to look like a good pick, especially pre-draft. Like, Milroe could get drafted in the first round. I'm not even reading this, so that's exactly what I was talking about. So the disrespect for this QB class was crazy. Both QBs fall in the middle of the first. Yeah, I think where these QBs went can easily be a value, especially in most years. And we may be overvaluing some of these other players. But in the second round, if Milroe's a first round, one of the guys I was trying to save until later was Quinn Ewers, who I have lost faith in, but he statistically, historically, if you have the top 24/7 sports grade or high school grade going into college, then you're going to have a chance to produce in the NFL. So Ewers has a better chance statistically than Milroe and Jackson Dart to actually be good, and he didn't even get drafted here.
There's a 25% hit rate for 5-star ESPN and 24/7, or sorry, 5-star prospects from 24/7 and Rivals, and Quinn Ewers is the only quarterback in this draft that had a 5-star rating. Also, it's January. We know nothing. We know something. All right. I personally love Jackson Dart. My son and I talk Raiders football back and forth in our text messages all the time, and he has bounced from Shedeur to Cam because he's getting the scuttlebutt. He's seeing what's being talked about and stuff like that. And so like he's kind of plugged in that way. I'm like doing research and watching. I watch games. I look at stats. I look at analytics. And so this whole like last few months, it's been him talking about Shedeur, him talking about Cam, and me going, no. As far as the Raiders are concerned, get somebody who's a better team helper in the first round, especially with the 6th pick, or 7th pick, whatever, sixth pick, and grab like an offensive lineman or something like that, and then take Jackson Dart in the 2nd round. And slowly over time, and then especially when he put 400 yards on and 4 touchdowns on Duke in the bowl game, my son was like, yeah, okay. I see it. He has rushing upside. He's got a big arm. His footwork needs some development. His accuracy is pretty good. He's a good quarterback, and he has an NFL style that some quarterbacks coach, some offensive coordinators really, really going to like him. And so I like him a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Devin Neal comes off the board next. I want to say that, yeah, he is super, super fun to watch for Kansas, even though they're pretty bad. And then this guy, great value for Dev at the 210.
Great
Harold
stats.
I feel like the last 3 tight end classes have kind of been very, very similar as far as you have 3 tight ends at the top and their value kind of like goes back and forth. Less so last year with Brock Bowers, but the year previous to that, when we had Sam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid and Michael Mayer, this class reminds me a lot of that with Loveland and Fannin and and Warren. So I feel like any of the 3 of them can be the tight end one of this class. Any of the 3 of them can drop a little bit. There's another name that we didn't get into, and he would have been my pick in the 4th round. We did do a 4th round. He would have been my pick in the 4th round if I had known it was a tight end premium. And I'll talk about him in a second. And then Matthew Golden, like him a lot. I wouldn't be mad if he and Bond flipped spots.
Yeah.
And then DJ Giddens rounds out the round. Stop it. I'll talk about him later, Dustin. Stop it. And also, you want to talk about spelling wrong? That's spelled wrong too.
Oh,
all right.
He said it wasn't him, but yeah. All right, next round. Let's roll.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot about Giddens, but there are a couple running backs
out of Oregon,
and
I mean that quarterback had like the most wins. Like it was a good team overall. Also, so
yeah.
Anyway,
all right. Talk to us about Dylan Sampson.
And maybe you learned something from Bucky Irving, Gatson, while he was there. Anyway, Sampson, Tennessee running back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got a Tennessee running back that I love named Alvin Kamara. I would love it if this guy was that. He's not going to be Kamara, but I do like his overall production. And I felt like even though I went tight end in the last round, I wasn't ready to go to receiver at this range. I just didn't feel confident in some of the guys. There's one like maybe, but last year, like when I first started my channel, my only advice was like, man, just take some running backs in the 3rd round. So for me, this was the top guy I had. I did consider Woody Marks and Scatterboo, but Sampson, I've already liked him for a while. I think he's got some pretty good production overall. So yeah, I think he's going to be in line for starting role, like maybe year 2. But could definitely fit in as a nice 2 to somebody's 1 in that first year for him.
So if I was drafting and Sampson was on the board and I offered you my pick for your Jalen Wright.
Yeah. So Jalen Wright,
what would you do?
Jalen Wright has a chance to be Mostert, and I like the speed for Jalen Wright. Both out of Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
So, I love the question. I think I'm sticking with Jalen Wright though.
Okay.
I don't know. It's
fair.
tough, but because there's the H-N in his way, and Sampson could go anywhere. And
I don't know if he's in his way. We look at the usage in Miami, and I don't know if with that running back room you can say in the way. I think there's room for both of them.
Yeah, if there was room for Mostert, the year before, then there's definitely room for Wright. And I just think we might be closer to Wright starting. As much as I might like any of these rookies, I can see the window for Wright coming very soon. And just in general, backs of a Chan size don't always stay healthy. That's just how it goes.
Yep. And then Greinberg took Torrey Horton out of Colorado State at the 302, and I don't hate that pick. I did write up Torrey Horton before 2023 as a value play in Devy drafts.
Another team.
No.
Other team.
He got hurt and he had kind of a down year, but he's still and he's kind of small, but he's very fast and I like him. And then with the 303 again, this is for content. I wanted to talk about my guy Lan Larison. He's an FCS running back. Go look up his stats. I had a thing last night on Twitter that I'm going to share with you guys, and where is it? All right, wide receiver A, had 119 receptions, 1,687 yards, and 14 touchdowns for their career. Wide receiver B had 126 receptions, so a few more catches, 1,627 yards, so about 60 yards fewer, and 11 touchdowns, so 3 fewer touchdowns. Wide receiver A was Ladd McConkey. Wide receiver B was not a wide receiver. He was a running back named Lan Larison.
Yeah, the next CMC or something. I don't know.
He also had 3,627 career rushing yards. He had 18 career. Ladd had 18 career touchdowns. Lan Larison had 52 from scrimmage.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. More career receptions and receiving yards than Ladd McConkey for a running back.
Not receiving yards, but more receptions. And so again, FCS school, but he's like 6 feet, 210. Like he hurdles players. He makes one-handed catches. Like he has breakout speed. The kid is legit. So anybody who liked Dylan Laube, anybody who like was looking for the next FCS style Austin Eckler guy, Isaiah, whatever the kid from South Dakota, like there have been successful FCS running backs in the NFL, and Lan Larison is going to be one of them.
Don't sleep.
I wouldn't take him at 303, I don't think, because if I was doing this for real,
no one would have known who that was.
Right. If I was doing this for real, Bayshall Tootin would have been my pick right here.
All right, there you go. And then just in the chat, Also22 says there's a world where Chan plays more wide receiver, Tyreek leaves.
I'm pretty sure Tyreek's gone, but
yeah, pretty sure. But does Chan play more wide receiver? What do you think?
I don't know.
I've seen him lined up out there, but they're gonna figure out receiver. Last episode, I told you that's why I'm still in on Waddle, because he'll likely be the one unless they get like a Higgins or something.
Considering how many timelines we've jumped since 2016 when the Hadron Collider, whatever, there are worlds where that happens. We don't know what timeline we're on right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I like the offense. I think he's in a good spot. Dylan Sampson, his numbers are just so good, and I didn't like speak on it, but 258 attempts, 1,488 yards, 22 touchdowns. I mean, it's a good profile.
Yeah,
90 PFF grade. So it's like I think I'm going to easily be slamming the button in the second round on Sampson if he gets a decent spot, but I can just see it coming where he's going to get some opportunity.
Yeah. All right, Gunnar Helm 304 in a tight end premium is pretty good. He's getting a lot of steam right now. A lot of people really like him. Woody Marks is, we got another running back tier. Look at this: Marks, Scatabo, Rashard Smith, Bayshall Tootin, Jordan James, RJ Harvey, Jarquez Hunter. Just like, what's that, 7?
And I like it. That's like, just take some shots. And I know you said you would have taken Tootin there, so that would have been your one.
Tootin is, I think, the fastest of them, and he's big, and I like him.
Yeah, I feel like Restrepo might have been one of the potential steals in the draft. I just still have some trouble sometimes just with the receivers, because it's just like, when am I starting these guys? It just sometimes gets like that, but I do like them. We've seen him a lot with Cam Ward. He can play. I
would have taken Restrepo over Horton here.
Yeah, me too.
And Brashard is my guy for me. Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. All right. It was a good draft. You want to throw that last slide up there so people can, there you go, look at it in detail. And then Ravens show, yo. I'll just read it. Starting a 10-team dynasty for me and the fellas, it's 10-team full PPR dynasty superflex, 6-point touchdowns, half tight end premium, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex, and 1 super flex to start, 4 taxi slots. How many bench spots should I have? 8.
Boom. All right.
And no position limits.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to add a quarterback limit in one league where it was just too cutthroat. Start 2 QB, but that was like a redraft, not a dynasty.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't like any limits.
Position limits suck.
Yeah,
good
right. Draft, man.
If this league would have played out, you would have taken Restrepo too. Nice.
Yeah,
it was fun, and it's good to so draft season comes in a few different parts. We got pre-Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl is coming up next week. I leave on Sunday. And then we got pre-combine, and then we got pre-draft. So we're going to have stages. And so there's going to be a lot of movement on this board. For example, 3 rounds, Xavier Restrepo goes 312. Let's see him go run routes at the Senior Bowl. Watch him get a whole bunch of like film out there on Twitter, and suddenly he's top of the second round. So we're gonna get a lot of Bashal Tootin, one of the guys that I'm targeting to like go try and talk to and showcase when I'm down there. Hopefully I can get him into the second round too. Actually, I don't want to. I want all these guys to stay third or fourth round, and then I'll just like pick them off one by one.
Yeah. Hey, report back. Not on stream. Let me know who all the sleepers are first, and then let's start up right after the Senior Bowl. Like while you're on the airplane. Like how do you like? That's the tough part. You can't ever like use all this knowledge before like everyone else ends up finding out, man. But yeah. Okay, go crush it out there. All right.
I'm gonna try. Why so few bench spots? I don't know. There's 4 taxi spots. How many bench spots do you need, Jamie?
I actually agree. I prefer like the leagues I'm in. I like 25 to 30 roster spots is kind of normal.
Threw it out there. I was
yeah.
I wasn't
25
thinking
to 30.
of it.
Yeah, because you would force us to count the actual players they had in here, but they basically are in like a 1, 3, 6, 7.
It's 10
8,
10 team
9.
also.
It looks like a start 9. So start 9. So he's saying have 21 bench spots, or you could say 19 plus 2 taxis. Yeah, I would have more than the 8, but
I'm gonna keep it to 8 because it's a 10-team league.
Yeah, 10-team leagues. So shallow is mainly about the starting lineups. Who has the best starting lineup? Who has Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or that type of a lineup? It's less about the bench, and it's kind of nice to have it where when the injuries happen, especially with the leagues with trade deadlines, it's nice to have some kind of bench waiver to pull into, in theory. But I know a lot of people that hate having any players available on waivers in the Dynasty League, so I get
this, but I like waiver action. So make it competitive. Make it fab, or even like a tiered waivers system where if if you give up your waiver spot because you grabbed a guy, I like playing that way. But yeah, go to 12, go to 15. I don't care. He asked, and just a number came to my head. 8. I don't know.
So I would say 8. Add 10 to that. 8. Make it 18 bench spots. 18, Start 10. You have 28 total roster spots.
28 bench spots and
28 roster spots. Yeah. All right.
Well,
1 million.
1 million. Let's do this. Boom. We are back. We're gonna get out of here. That's not our show. This is our show. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks everyone for drafting.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. What am I gonna be? Next week I will be in Mobile. So I will do my best to have a show. If you want to go on your own, you can. But I'll see what I can do. What is going to be happening at 1:00? Maybe we can do it because I'll be in Alabama, so I'll be in Central Time Zone. So it'll be easier to get on your time level, and maybe I'll take a lunch and we'll do it from there.
Boom.
Yes,
all
sir.
Right. Well, whatever you need, man. But excited
Well,
for you. So.
How freaking exclusive is that going to be for you guys watching this show? That I'm going to be live from the Senior Bowl on the next episode.
All right. Hey, safe travels, everybody. I know it's icy out there, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yep. See you next week.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.
Yeah.